Hare Krishna, ladies and gentlemen. This is Kurt, the Freak Vandal Drummond, with Frito Esparza. Welcome to LuchaWorld. We could call it Lucha Underworld.
Lucha Underworld. That was funny.
That was funny.
This is our second attempt.
Yes.
Kurt messed up and said Lucha Underworld.
Boy, did I ever.
I think he was thinking Lucha Underground and combined Lucha Underworld, which would actually be a pretty good wrestling name, a promotion.
I do agree. I think,
Lucha Underworld.
Well, to quote Tom Waits, I love it when I hear things incorrectly. It's where I get some of my best ideas. Yeah. So maybe we stumbled across something really, really wonderful.
Stay tuned to Lucha Underworld.
Absolutely. Lucha World down under and above and over. From the shores of California. We're here from Walnut Kills, and
it's been a month since we did our last podcast.
Yeah, we're
Kurt, it's Kurt's fault as always.
It is my fault, actually. Yeah. There's a lot of news going on. Before we get into the news, email address for LuchaWorld is Liger, Lyger, at AOL.com. And you can also find Vandal Drummond on Facebook. You can email Frito too, but he will not answer you. Or he might write a dirty word to you or something like that. And he's proud.
You should tell people your Twitter account that you never check.
My
Twitter account. I don't even know how to...
My Twitter account is a barren womb. That's what it is.
My favorite is that everybody confuses what the name is for my Twitter account because it's the real Fredo.
Yes.
But then it could also be their Alfredo. So it's like, it doesn't make a difference. I don't really care.
Therefore, Fredo go he.
Yeah.
So much going on. Well, I want to answer a piece of mail we got. Our good friend Scotty Astro, I guess, read an interview where Javier Llanes...
El Gusano Llanes.
Yes. The worm.
The worst announcer. No, just kidding. He's actually very good wrestler. He was a very good wrestler. Pretty decent announcer. Horrible interviewer.
Oh, okay.
That's his he can't carry a show basically, and he's done shows where he has to carry shows.
Out of his element.
Yeah.
He wrestled in L.A. in 1979.
Well, you should answer what Scotty
Astro asked was he heard an interview with Javier Llanes. Javier Llanes made the claim that he was in a tag team match. On the other team was Roddy Piper and Hulk Hogan. 1979. Now, to answer your question, Scotty, Hulk Hogan in 1979 was still Terry the Hulk Boulder, and I am 99% sure Terry the Hulk Boulder never made an appearance in Los Angeles.
At that time.
I still think he was making the rounds in Tennessee.
That's what I was thinking, like Knoxville, was that right?
Yes.
Memphis or something?
Yes. When he became Hulk Hogan, he did a couple of shots in L.A. in 1980 and 81. 1980... The only appearance I know of him coming in was as a heel defeating Frank Hill, who later became Jules Strongbow. In 1981, he wrestled Mean Mask.
Mean Mask.
Well, there's another good name. Okay, Lucha Underworld starring Mean Mask. Now, he wrestled Mean Mike Masters. And...
I bet Mean Mike Masters wasn't very good, or was he?
He was actually good.
Pretty good?
He wasn't a great
Because I just remember all those guys who were named like that were very generic looking dudes.
He was pretty underrated. When he was in WWF, he was one of the guys that would get squashed in nothing flat. Like, squashed right and left on TV. But if you saw him up close, he had a really good physique. I think he actually played football. He was cut, but he actually played football, I think, for the Jets.
Oh, okay.
And he wasn't a great wrestler, but he was by no means a bad wrestler, too. Had a really cool look to him. I think he's a fitness instructor. Like, he owns his own fitness biz back east. But he and Hogan, as I recall, had a pretty good match. And that was the first time Hogan appeared in L.A. as a babyface. But I don't recall Hogan doing any other thing than one-night shots, and
You don't remember him wrestling a tag match against Javier Yanes?
Nope. I remember Javier Yanes coming to LA, but I think it was for really short stints.
Yeah. I don't even remember Javier Yanes in, like, Juarez or anything. For whatever reason.
Saying something.
Yeah.
The Man of Mystery.
I just always remembered him in Arena, Mexico, like Mexico City and stuff
Man
like
of Mystery. He's somewhere drinking a pint with Steve Sims.
that. Where is Steve Sims?
Where is Steve Sims?
We're all trying to figure out where Steve Sims is.
Yes,
so
we want Steve Sims.
If Steve Sims hears this show, let us know where you're at.
And then I briefly have to touch upon, since I haven't watched a lot of wrestling these last few weeks,
We should mention last podcast, you had watched so much wrestling that now you're just back to normal again.
I know, and I miss watching it. I was having an
I'm very disappointed in you, Chris.
I am too. I was having an identity crisis. I think the problem I had an identity crisis that I'm watching all this wrestling, and I felt like a kid again, and I felt like, oh, maybe I have Peter Pan syndrome.
I was hoping you'd finally watch the Blue Panther versus Bobby Zavala lightning match from July or June or whatever.
I wanted to ask you about that, but I was too embarrassed to ask you who Bobby Zavala was wrestling. I was too embarrassed to ask that. I was still remembering, but I couldn't remember.
Well, Bobby Zavala.
Now I know.
Bobby Zavala was in LA this past weekend.
Was he
this
really?
past week, actually.
Oh my gosh.
For Lucha Vavoom.
Oh my gosh.
You could have seen him live.
Was he Bobby Zavala, or was he like
Probably
dressed as a chicken?
I don't know. You never know with Lucha Vavoom.
He'd be great dressed as anything. That guy's I like him. I really like him.
I guess he's become friends with Cassandro. Mm-hmm. So Cassandro has him booked. He's getting a lot of shows outside of Mexico.
Well, one of the things I've been doing these last few weeks, and I'm going to get my non-wrestling stuff out of the way really quick here.
Oh, no.
But this is something every wrestling historian should listen up on. I am rereading, for the first time, a book I first read.
A book
that I read for college over 20 years ago.
College? There's three already things I don't like.
Here's
three things I don't like talking about on this show.
Mixed martial arts.
Mixed martial arts, reading, and college.
Well, this was the greatest, because I was taking a History of California class, and I told the instructor, I want to write, my term paper on
wrestling.
Amy Semple McPherson. Do you know who she is? It's very close. Let me tell you who Amy Semple McPherson was. She was the woman who took evangelism from tents and barns and built huge arenas.
Oh, really? Wow.
She was a one-woman WrestleMania. She did these big, like, Christian operas and all these just way out things that nobody ever thought of doing. I mean, even evangelists today don't do what she does. She would ride out on a motorcycle in a police outfit and jump off and say, "Stop, you're breaking Jesus' law."
When was this?
This was, she hit LA in the 1920s.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And there are so many parallels with her and Vince McMahon. I mean, she was the Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan of evangelism.
Wow.
There's nobody who has matched the sights. I'm sure people have out-earned her, but when you think of the social media available back then...
None.
She took this...
Newspapers.
Yeah, she built the Four Square Gospel Church in Los Angeles in Echo Park. It's still there today. She and her mother built it, and she probably wouldn't have gotten as far, but her mother was real tight with money, and she was the opposite. She would spend everything like, preachers do today.
Yeah.
And just like Vince McMahon, there's this big scandal that hit when she was swimming in the ocean, either in Santa Monica or Hermosa Beach, I can't remember, and she disappeared.
Wow.
And I guess people thought she was dead. They were getting ready to have memorial services for her, but they couldn't find her body. And then something like, I want to say 4 to 6 weeks later, they find her in Douglas, Arizona, and she's walking around saying she was kidnapped and held in a shack.
Really?
And that she had walked through the desert for I don't know how long, and Immediately, people were suspicious because the gown she had on was just
too
lovely.
clean.
Yes, there were no armpit stains.
No
her
dirt.
Skin was perfect. There was no sunburn.
Oh, jeez.
And when they gave her water, they said that everybody who they gave water to after being lost in the desert, like a madman, drinks like as many glasses as they can.
Yeah.
Where she sipped 2 glasses. And somehow she got through all this. There was a lot of people who turned on her, I think, realizing it was a scam, but a lot of people just ate everything up she did. And what's mind-blowing is in this day and age, most stuff that's written about her, they kind of gloss over all that, and they make it look like she was this really empowered woman who did all these wonderful things. And, I mean, she was impressive, but she was a charlatan. She was a pro wrestler. She was it. And the book I read, which surprisingly is one of the older biographies called Storming Heaven by a historian named Lately Thomas, which is actually a nom de plume, wrote the best biography
After this show, Kurt will explain what nom de plume means to me. You continue. I'm just kidding.
It's what you peasants call a pen name. Like Vandal Drummond being Vandal Drummond instead of Kurt Brown.
We should do this show like it was the 1800s. some of the terms.
Bad Dick Van Dyke.
Some of the words you use is like what?
We'll use bad Dick Van Dyke accents. Oh, Mary Poppins.
It's like whenever Steve would use like a big word, it's like whoa, Steve, get it. I'm talking about Dr. Lucha. He's used big words a few times on his when he did. I learned something every time he does that, so
it's true.
It's good. It's good that he does it. I like when he does it.
I'm embarrassed to say this after being a comparative literature major. I did not know what a hagiography was.
I don't know what that is.
What it is a biography.
A biography about hags.
That's what it would sound like, or I thought maybe it's a witchcraft biography, or no, a hagiography is a biography where you're just praising the person up and down and pretending the bad stuff never happened.
This is what Dave Meltzer feels like when he's with Brian Alvarez.
We're on a roll, baby.
It's all this theater stuff.
Exactly. And that said, I just say any wrestling historian, especially ones who go back to the early century, especially if you live in California, you owe it. You can find this book easily, Storming Heaven. You owe it to yourself to read this. It's bitchin'.
Well, since you're talking about her being such a big draw and stuff, we should talk about CMLL. How they don't draw anybody to their shows.
And now they don't draw anybody to their shows. I guess there was one recent.
Yeah, there was one recent show, the All Elite show, that they ran on. It's a promotion that's. I don't know who runs it. I know it's one of the Carlo Colleen or something. They ran a show on a Sunday that actually drew really well, about 90% capacity.
Yes.
They had a mix of independent guys.
That was in Arena Mexico. Right?
Yeah, Arena Mexico.
That's impressive.
They had Dr. Wagner Jr., L.A. Park, and Fuerza Guerrera back in Arena Mexico. I think that was Fuerza's first time back in 10 years, which was funny because we were talking to Juventud Guerrera that a couple of weeks earlier from that, and he had actually just told us he didn't want to go to CMLL.
That's
and I was just laughing because he was telling me how his dad was the one that pushed him to go there.
Yeah, kind of like I did it with my old man mate.
Yeah, and he didn't seem that he wasn't even when I was telling Juventud Guerrera, but didn't you want to be there because of it's Arena Mexico. It's like the big. It's the cathedral. And a lot of guys have said that. But then he's like, nah, for the styles and stuff like that. But it wasn't like the arena. He didn't really think it was a big deal. But Juventud is also a little bit more out there than.
Yes.
I think he's one of those kind of like in that Teddy Hart group of guys.
Yeah. As long as he doesn't go to where Teddy Hart.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't hit rock bottom like Teddy, that's okay. Although Teddy probably hasn't hit rock bottom yet. There's still more to reach to get lower. Yeah. So they had Nero Casas versus Fuerza Guerrera.
With your recommendation, I watched that. Yes.
You watched it? Okay.
Loved it.
So it's funny because CMLL did more to promote that show than they ever did for their Sunday shows for whatever reason.
Wow.
But they didn't air it on Terra though. They haven't been on Terra for the last 3 weeks, so right now we don't know what's going on with.
There's been no word.
No word on their behalf or anything. We figured that show wouldn't be on because it's not a CMLL show. But then, the week before that and the week after... Well, actually, the week before that was the Super Bowl.
Right.
And we were like, okay, it's the Super Bowl. But this week, it was like, this past Sunday, it was like, okay, that's kind of starting to get a little weird that it's not on. Yeah, but that show drew really well. The Fuerza Negro Casas match, which was really good.
I enjoyed that.
It's more of a traditional, like we were talking about Javier Yanez being like an announcer that kind of gets boring after a while. He called a match that was, I think, El Dandy versus Negro Navarro. That was very technical, very like slow paced, kind of like what this was. And I remember when he was doing the announcing, he said, this match isn't something that your casual fans are going to enjoy, but I think hardcore fans would really like it. The Dandy versus Negro Navarro.
Right.
And I kind of thought that was the same thing with Negro Casas and Fuerza Guerrera, because a lot of people aren't. If you're watching Lucha Underground, I don't think you're going to get, like, if that's your first experience to Lucha, you're not going to get Fuerza versus Negro Casas.
Right.
Especially because Fuerza's a lot older now, and he's not at Negro Casas' level.
No, definitely. Negro Casas has really helped. I mean, the one thing I'll say about both of them is...
he was in great shape, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say, watching the two of them in that match, I just said, wow, I don't feel so bad about being in my 50s.
Yeah, Fuerza's just a little... Like, if you don't see him with Negro Casas, you notice that he's not as good. And even that match, you don't... Actually, he did some good stuff, too. He did a lot of submission stuff towards the end, which was pretty cool. And then the main event was L.A. Park teaming with... oh, God, what was it? Volador Jr. versus Dr. Wagner Jr. and versus Dr. Wagner Jr. and La Sombra. That was actually pretty good. It was more of a brawl. More of a... Like, it was more chaotic. Because, you have La Sombra doesn't get along with anybody as his character. So he wouldn't get along with Dr. Wagner Jr., but they did a lot of good stuff, cool stuff. I think Alley Park's probably back to about close to 100%.
Oh, cool.
Because he was doing a lot of dives and stuff like that. He was doing a lot of stuff that you weren't seeing him doing for the last 4 to 5 months because of his illness. He kind of looked a little sloppy. Wow. But now he looked a lot better. Super Crazy and Atlantis were in another match. I think it was Atlantis and Extreme Tiger versus Super Crazy and Ultimo Guerrero. You basically got the same Ultimo Guerrero Atlantis stuff in that match, but you had Super Crazy in there. And
how is he these days?
I think he lost weight because remember we saw him at that Wrestle Reunion. He was kind of fat.
Yes,
he looked a lot thinner. He's not a skinny guy.
Right.
He's a chubby guy.
He did some of his moves, but it wasn't the same Super Crazy we saw before.
Yeah, he looked good in this. I mean, when he was saying that he wanted to go back to CMLL, I kind of thought, oh man, do we really need Super Crazy in this show? On this show, but he's kind of gotten a little back in shape and stuff, so it wasn't that bad.
Oh, that's cool.
Extreme Tiger's all right too. He's not that great, but Actually, the match that looked good was the second match. There was a second match with Dragon Lee and all these other guys that didn't get recorded by the guy who posted it, or the girl, or whoever it was, or the people that did, because there were a lot of people who posted. A lot of people later on posted videos, but that was taped by the CMLL people, so that should be on LATV.
Oh,
do you have LATV?
I do have LATV.
It should be on LATV if they ever get to that point. Which with LATV you don't know, you might see a repeat.
You might see a 2013
show
first.
Yeah. So it's like I know it aired in Mexico, and Cubs fan I think he posted it.
When I was watching the Negro Casas versus Fuerza Guerrera match, the thing I kept thinking is, this is neat to watch from a handheld, but boy, would I love to see like
like with
TV close-ups.
And with announcers calling it and stuff, like, because they were doing a lot of stuff. Like, I think the first fall was the one that was a lot slower, but then the second and third fall were a lot better. Like, the closing minutes of the third fall were really good.
Yes, because I agree.
It was just Fuerza getting, like, escaping the La Casita, and then him doing that submission hold. I can't remember what it was. I think it was the Cavernaria, wasn't it? Where he did the Cavernaria, but he did like a variation of it.
Yeah, I was going to say that Costa slapped it on him too.
Yeah, or something like that. I just kept thinking, man, this match is really good.
That last fall went a long time, and I wasn't sitting there saying, okay, wrap it up. And I love how it was wrapped up with just a straight, clean fall. There wasn't like a whole bunch of over build-up or anything.
Yeah.
That was a really fun match.
Yeah, I'm hoping they do more of those shows. Because I'd rather watch that. I'd rather watch that than some of the Sunday shows that they do.
What?
And it sucks because I was complaining about the Sunday shows so much, and now they're not on.
They're not gone. We don't miss what we have until they go.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is that there's two channels that air the Sunday shows, like 2 or 3 of the matches. So you're still going to get something.
Well, and if you have that many people come to the show, I think it's a message saying, hey, people will come if you give them what they want.
Yeah. And that's the problem. CMLL isn't doing that because they keep... And it's sad because I think they're passing up on a lot of money. I think they look at the egos that these guys have and they don't want to deal with it, or the amount that they're going to pay them.
Right.
But then you're not really making any money with the guys you have right now. I mean, there's not a lot of people going to a lot of these shows. Give them some variety or something, you know? People want something different. They don't want to see the same opening match. And you know what I find boring is their opening matches are always really bad for whatever reason. Like
really bad, and then sometimes 6-man tags, even with good wrestlers, will be repetitious.
Yeah,
you know, mix it
it's
up.
Very repetitious.
What they're supposed to do.
Yeah. So the other big news from CMLL was Maximo won the world title.
Yes. Now,
the world heavyweight title.
Match. How was that?
Actually, I heard it was really good. I saw the first fall and I think the finish. I haven't seen the entire match because I was busy doing something. I was watching Lucha Underground, actually. I was more into watching Lucha Underground than that. No, actually, there was somebody. Oh, the kids were over. The kids, my niece and nephew were over. Yeah, but I saw the finish of it because everybody was complaining because you know how Maximo's gimmick is he kisses to win, and then he cheated. He committed a foul to win. But what happens was their seconds get involved. Rey Bucanero gets involved, and then Volador Jr. gets involved for Maximo. So then he cheats after Terrible cheats to win. Right. So that doesn't really make a. That's more of that than just he blatantly cheated to win the title.
Right.
I'm alright with it. I'm okay with it. It's not.
I don't see why not.
What? It doesn't even matter. I mean, it's a world title.
It's a world title.
They treat it like it means nothing, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and it's kind of one thing I'm going to say for Maximo. I think the last 2 years that guy's worked his butt.
Yeah, he's
worked hard.
I mean, if you had told me this like 2 years ago, Maximo's going to win, and even then I wouldn't care because it's the CMLL World Heavyweight title. It doesn't matter. I mean, that belt they've done nothing with. Like they have done, they've done so little with it. I mean, the main belt in CML is really whatever Nero Casas is showing.
Exactly.
I think that's really the main title.
It's kind of like a throwback to the old days when the welterweight title was the title and the heavyweight was.
And even that they gave away. They have Mascara Dorada and New Japan with one of the welterweight titles. So, but those are the welterweight titles are really the other two that are there. Yeah. Are the main titles, and basically.
Going back in history, that was the title that like Gory Guerrero held. Yeah. A lot of those guys, that was the belt.
Yeah, guys like Titan and all those guys. But I mean, what I found so interesting, and I think it was Kevin Kleinrock who mentioned it on Twitter, was like, it's so weird that they allowed a guy. He's like, I know he's not gay. Mm-hmm. For those who don't know, Maximo isn't. It's a gimmick. Mm-hmm. He's actually married to a pretty good-looking ex-luchadora who might actually make a comeback at some point. He's not gay. He just plays that in his career. I'm sure he doesn't want me to say that. But what we found interesting was that they won't let gay wrestlers be in the promotion. They've never let... Yeah, Cassandra's not allowed to be in the... For whatever reason, they won't let Cassandra join in. Cassandra's always traveling to Mexico.
And talk about one of the most professional guys.
Yeah, and you would want him in the promotion. He'd be... That's something else. He wouldn't even be there all the time. There's the variety. Mm-hmm. I would rather have Cassandra 4 or 5 times out of the year.
Same here.
Than have the same match over and over and over again,
Right.
And that's what I don't like about CMLL, that they would rather keep the guys who will wrestle there all the time, and they won't bring in guys who maybe will be there for a short stint, and then maybe they go do something else.
Yeah.
And that's what I always liked. I always like, this guy's going to be here for a couple of months, cool, and then he leaves. Good. I got tired of watching him.
Yeah, exactly. They run their course, and then they're fresh if they want to come back next year.
Yeah, the sad thing is they won't do anything with the belt anyways with Maximo holding it. They did nothing with Terrible.
I like that they gave him a bone like that just because,
they're doing he
worked a lot harder than
and he's headlining the Dos Leyendas. The Dos Leyendas, we should talk about that next. Mm-hmm. The Dos Leyendas main event is a double hair match. Mm-hmm. Maximo and Volador Jr. versus Terrible and Rey Bucanero. So they've been building that up for what's been since, I think, December. The cage match was when they started feuding. I think before that. And so that's the main event for that, even though I'm not that... It's another hair match. I'm not too thrilled about it. And it's funny because Rush actually shit on that. Because they asked him about going after another hair match. Doing another hair match. And he's like, I don't want to go after her. I want a mask match now.
I was going to say...
mask versus hair.
And Rush's hair is the only hair that's going to matter these days.
And that's what he said. So we'll talk about Rush too, but I should bring this up about Rush. He basically talked about the hair, about the importance of hair. And he was talking about how Terrible is putting his hair on the line again. He's like, he just did that. I think Rey Bucanero did as well recently. Mm-hmm. Might have been a couple of years ago. And Maximo, I think, did it too. And he's talking about how he won't do that. He's like, there's a lot of guys who do it often. He's like, He's like, but I don't want to do that. I want to beat somebody for the mask. If I beat a guy with a mask, then my hair becomes more valuable.
Yes.
He's like, my hair's gold. my hair's worth gold. And we'll talk about the Rush promo too, which is
so cool that I was pleasantly surprised but pleasantly surprised that in the Wrestling Observer year-end awards, readers voted Rush. He got a lot of
votes for a lot of things. The
Wrestler of the year.
I think the feud of the year. I think they finished third, didn't they?
With Negro Casas and Rush. Yeah, they finished over Atlantis and Rey Bucanero.
They were the top. Weren't they the top wrestling feud? Because I think the one that won was like an MMA feud that only had one fight or something.
I don't know, but
I think so. I think so.
Right.
They might be the second feud, probably behind the Shield.
But I was really jazzed that people took notice because I think I mean, Rush is such an epiphany.
Yeah,
in the biz.
Yeah. Speaking of Rush, the other match in the other stip match for Dos Leyendas is Dragon Lee versus Kamatachi. Mm-hmm. Dragon Lee is Rush's brother.
Yes.
Dragon Lee's second is going to be Mystico 2 in that match. But have you been watching the Dragon Lee Kamaitachi matches?
I have not.
You haven't watched any of them?
None.
None of them? Not even the one from like last year?
Search them out, should I?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
They're like death matches, basically.
Wow. Okay.
I know what I'm doing when a lot of death spots. They're actually mostly lightning matches too, so it's like
which I love.
Yeah,
I love lightning matches.
Well, their matches are the ones that make that. Mm-hmm. You watch their lightning matches, you end up hating like all the other ones. You're like, it's not that. Although they have Virus who does a lot of lightning matches.
One of the things I dig about the lightning matches, one, it's only going to go 10 minutes.
Yeah, so if they're bad, you're like, I'll get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And two, it's a unique feature you see once a week on TV. It's like when I was a little kid, they had a championship that was only defended on TV called Beat the Champ. Mm-hmm. And you didn't earn a shot by winning matches. They spun a wheel or picked your name out of a hat. So
is that how CMLL does it? Because I think that's what CMLL does. Whoa!
but no,
we've uncovered it. We've uncovered who was it?
Exactly.
LaBelle ran
Gene
CML.
LaBelle is booking CMLL. Gene LaBelle, Judo Gene is booking.
Who was the one? Was it Mike LaBelle who ran the?
Yeah. Yes. And
although I think if Judo Gene ran CMLL, it'd be a lot better.
It would be, and LA would have never died.
Yeah.
Gene ran it instead of No, but what it was they would draw names, so you could have the America's Champion challenge for it, or you could have a lowly jobber, and every now and then the lowly jobber would beat the champ.
Yeah.
But it was a good idea because so much of TV wrestling is advertising for the big show, but they also put something on TV that made you want to watch the show rather than just hear the carnival barking about this Friday night.
So we pretty much think someone's going to die in that match. Not only will he lose his mask, he might die.
Now, if I go on YouTube, I could find it.
Oh yeah, you could buy it. I think it's
tonight.
I think there's two singles matches and I think a trios match, which is really good. His second, I think I said Mystico 2 is going to be the second. Rush talked about that on the podcast, on his that Informer show where he was asked why, a fan tried to stir things up. And he's like, "Are you jealous? Are you upset that your brother picked his other brother?" And he said, "No." He's like, "Why wouldn't he pick him? First of all, if he picked me, I'm so hated. Everybody would be distracted booing me, and then they would boo my brother too." So he's like, it's better that I don't have anything to do with it because he's a babyface. He's like, I'm a heel. I'm the most. He didn't say he was a heel. He's like, I'm the most hated Rudo in CMLL.
Yes.
Like, so I can't. Even though I'm a technical, I'm still the most hated Rudo.
It would be like if you were an MMA fighter and they put Michael Bisping in your corner because people.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
He's that British fighter. Yeah. Remember when we went to the UFC show in Anaheim?
Yeah.
And there was no match going on, but we heard this loud chorus of boos at one side of the arena, and people were throwing stuff. Michael Bisping, British fighter who has a gift of gab, all he did was walk out, and they saw him.
Oh, geez.
And so, if he was somebody's corner man,
people
would be spending time.
Yeah, so that's So, the other thing is El Faraón is going to be honored on the show.
Ooh, somebody I remember back from when I was a teenager.
Yeah, I think people were saying, he's a big drop-off to Cien Caras. But I was like, But you know what was so cool?
I liked him.
What was so cool about it? They were talking about that, and Rey Bucanero mentioned, he said, they were saying, Faraón is like, and he's like, they were setting up the hair match. And he was saying, what better place to do a hair match than the show that's being honoring Faraón? And he was talking about how Faraón back in the early 90s actually took Pirata Morgan's hair. in a bloody match. Apparently, it was a really bloody match. I think it's on video.
I liked it. He had a program in LA with Piper. And
really,
they worked well together.
Yeah, I always liked him. I thought he was cool.
Me too.
So there was another guy I liked too. Egipcio, I think, was the other guy kind of like.
I'm sorry?
Egipcio.
Oh, yes.
The Egyptian.
I liked Egipcio.
Yeah. I can't remember who else there was. I always dug those.
I remember Egipcio when I was watching Galavision, like in
I was
89, 90. They used him kind of lower on the shows, but I love just watching his mat wrestling. He's one of the guys who would be creative when he got in there just doing hold for hold.
Yeah, there's just a bunch of guys I used to like for some reason. Never even understood why, but Faraon I always dug. I don't know.
I did too.
Because he always, even without his... he had that one match with Lismark, didn't he? That we actually found on
Yes,
the tape.
yes.
Yeah.
That was the match I was going crazy over.
Yeah. It was because it never ended, and then it cut off at the end. I was like, oh.
And I love that they were doing these Mexican-style high spots, but there was a lot of tension in them.
Yeah, because only, I think it was only 2 falls, because I think it cut off at the end. The tape.
It wasn't just video game high spots where everything is coming off, rapidly. It's like... They were doing high spots, but when they had a headlock, it looked like they were trying to grasp onto that headlock rather than just automatically hurling their opponents in the ropes.
We have also other champions in CMLL. Are you excited?
Of course I'm excited.
Zuxis beat Estrellita for the Mexican national women's title.
Really?
Ending Estrellita's run, which Zuxi said didn't add any value to the title. This is what's so great about doing, the CMLL Informa show. A lot of people find them boring, and it is kind of boring most of the time. But sometimes you'll catch them saying something, and you kind of think maybe they really do mean it. So she said she didn't add any value. And then the other belts that changed hands with the new Sky team of Mystico, Volador Jr. and Valiente.
Oh, cool.
Beat Los Guerreros Laguneros for the CMLL World Trios titles. So we're gonna get to see that in the next week. This weekend, actually.
Oh, very cool.
So that should be good. I should talk about Rush. He's coming back, since we already brought him up. He's coming back, I think, either this week or the following week. But the big news was him on CMLL Informa. He wanted to end the rumors about his dad being new Pierroth. Okay, I'll probably add this to the podcast I probably as the intro. It's probably on the intro. I should mention we do this before we do the intro.
That's right. Yes.
So, or I could actually just cut into this, or whatever. Well, Pierroth, basically, he gets asked by a fan if Pierroth is his father. Actually, he's asked what he thinks about Pierroth and the new Puerto Rican team, about their idea of humiliating all the technicos, and he basically said that. Before he gets to that, he's like, well, before I get to that, I just want to talk about this rumor that everybody keeps bringing up about how Pierroth is my father. And he gets really quiet. Remember the Jake the Snake, those really quiet, I'm going to kill him. And those really they're threatening you. He's like, Pierroth isn't my father. My father's not a clown. My father's a man. My father's chingon. My father doesn't do this sort of clown stuff. And then he's like, yeah, he does a good job getting heel heat. And he's being nice about that.
Right.
And then he's like, but you know what? I want to wrestle that guy in a singles match. And when I wrestle him, you guys will see what I think of that. You'll find out if he really is my father, what I do to that dog and stuff like that. I was like, holy shit, he was just being this total asshole. And then afterwards they asked him this one fan asked for a kiss, and he just he just snaps. He's all pissed about it. That's a girl though. But he just snaps. He's like, stop asking me. He's like, okay, stop asking me for hugs. Stop asking me for shout outs. Stop asking me for kisses. I'm on the show for questions. If you have an important and good questions, don't ask me stupid questions. He's just being a total being Rush, and here he's back. Rush is back.
So if I were just to drop this question unto you, Fredo, would you say that if there was going to be the award Best on Interviews in Mexico, is that Rush?
Rush is the best interview, period.
Cool.
I think the only guy who's better than him in all of wrestling is Paul Heyman. And I think Paul Heyman, he's more of a thinker type, whereas Rush is more he doesn't give a fuck and he's just gonna say what he thinks. Although he's very good at when he talks about wrestling, he's not one of these guys who because they even ask him about when he was out what he learned most while injured, and he's he said, I noticed that you're very easily replaceable. Like he's like very reflective, gets stuff.
That's cool.
It's like he's not a. I just enjoy his interviews because they're very.
Well, when I first became a really huge fan of him was right around the time they were starting to do the. He's a technico, but they hate him.
Yeah, because he would always turn around and like just be an asshole.
And the way his face, and the way he would read the crowd too.
Yeah,
the crowd would react, and he knew how to play off that.
Because that started it off. Then
can do that.
Then he started being a good worker. Like after that, it's like holy shit, this guy's really good. And it helps that Nero Casas is there. Like he's there, or, like he's your first big feud, really. Terrible is the other guy who he had a big feud with. So. You kind of you get to work with some pretty good workers.
If you can't learn from Casas, quit the business.
Yeah, Casas is amazing.
He is.
It's just amazing. Like you watch these guys who are like half his age, who can't do a lot of the stuff. Like I was telling when we were talking about Casas, what it is that makes him so much better. Because you notice it, like even like holding a little parrot's hand down the stairs. He makes it look like it matters, you know. Like it's not like him. Oh, look at here comes your look at Grandpa holding the parrots, the little parrot, the little kid, the midget in a parrot's outfit down the stairs. No, it's him like getting ready to dance with them and doing all this stuff, and it's like, dude.
Yeah, he's in character. He's not rolling his eyes like, oh, look what I have to put up with.
And then you know, like, he could handle himself, like, take care of himself against Rush and stuff like that. So, like, the other big news that we need to finally discuss, after 6 months of waiting, we can finally tell everybody Hombre Sin Nombre's new name. Kurt, I knew you lost sleep because of this.
I did.
You kept calling me and asking Kurt, Fredo, what's Hombre Sin Nombre's new gimmick?
No, I already sent them emails, and I had my lawyers contact them and said Big Dick Hurts has been trademarked. You cannot use Big Dick Hurts.
Well, they went with Luciferno. Their initial name was going to be Lucifer. But I think there's a lot of Lucifers.
Oh, there's 100.
I was watching. Remember, we were talking about Saturday Night Live over the phone the other day because they were doing the special, and so I started looking at that Rolling Stones list that you mentioned.
Yes.
And I kind of understand your point, but I also understand the point of why they listed Norm Macdonald so long.
Apples and oranges.
Yeah. So, but I understood because he was not. They really didn't do him a lot with him. So I got to John Lovett's part. Because of the end, the dead that thing they do for the dead people, the people that passed away.
Oh yes, yeah, the
tribute, where they had John Lovitz as one of the people they added in the tribute, and they were talking about him doing what was it, Mephistopheles? Mephistopheles.
Yes.
And so I looked, and I thought, why didn't he go with that name? That would have been such an awesome name.
It's a great name.
I'm actually thinking, like, if you ever wrestle, you should do that gimmick, but you should wear the red outfit that John Lovitz wore.
Totally.
The devil outfit that John Lovitz wore.
That would be great.
That is a great skit.
I would show up to do that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Argentina had El Diablo.
And it was a guy just like...
Yeah, and then the funniest part was his music sounded like...
No mask, just the back of it.
Yeah. And his music was like this happy little kid's music. El Diablo! And El Diablo, like, wait, you're trying to get the kids to...
Yeah, I was watching that. I was like, why isn't this guy Luciferno? And it's so sad because Luciferno isn't that good anyways. Like, Hooligan was really good, like, I think in 2008.
Right.
But it's 2015 now.
It's a whole new...
And like, it's within those last 7 years, they've added Hechicero, Carbonario, the Panther, and Dragon Lee. And I don't know about you, but I would rather watch those guys than Luciferno, the Thunder, and
I saw that recent match with Hechicero and Negro Navarro not too long ago. I think I might have mentioned it on the last podcast, but that's like poetry, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Hechicero...
His best work is being done outside of CMLL.
Wow. Because, I mean...
Which is great for him, but,
It's great for him. Well, in fact, which I want to also bring up to you is some time ago you posted a 6-man tag from 2004 that I just watched for the first time, involving Charles Lucero, who I have heard of before.
Charles Lucero.
Was he made by tiny little Kibleros?
He's been around for a long time. He probably was.
I saw him. This guy could make mat wrestling still pleasable to modern day fans.
I said this, like, I think when Black Cherry Jr. was posting videos. Remember, he used to post the videos on the full videos on YouTube. Well, the first thing I thought, I always thought he's gonna get tired of doing that, which he did, and started doing it. You could pay him to get the videos and stuff. That, and then when he was doing it, I thought, if only Charles Lucero had a son that would film stuff, people would see how much better, how great he is.
Yes.
Because at that time, nobody even knew. Like, I think it was only like Robbie Hari and like a handful of us who would watch Monterrey Lucha who knew about him. But like the main, the smarts online didn't really they didn't really give him a lot of credit. And now look at him, everybody like brings up, oh, he's awesome, he's great and stuff like. And yeah, 2004. That's how far long ago that was.
The guy he's wrestling, Chucho Mar.
Another guy who was really underrated.
Their mat work in that first
Chucho Mar
fall,
Jr.
and it wasn't a quick first fall either. I mean, they were doing some. Awesome
they had some really good workers.
Work.
That like from 2000 to about 2005, Monterrey had a lot of good like workers like Chucho Mar Jr., Charles Lucero, Caifanes, Orientales. They had like a lot of good guys, and then like all of a sudden like they first were like in Arena Coliseo Monterrey and all that, and then that group like started getting a little clownish,
right?
And then they went to Nuevo Leon, the show that you saw, and then they would do the Solidaridad shows, but then it's like afterwards, like they all got scattered. Some of them quit the business.
Yeah,
it's stuff that happens. And then Hechicero showed up, and like for like the last. Like from probably 2007, he's been like the best worker in that area.
Oh, he's great.
And it's like every time I would see him, I was like, why is this guy in wasting himself in Monterrey when he should be in CMLL or AAA? But
definitely.
Then you find out how little they make, and it's like, oh, that's why. You make money if you're in demand, though. But if you're not in demand, you're not making anything.
Have a day job.
Yeah. Oh, we should talk about Mr. Niebla.
Yes.
Since I think we did the interview after the last show.
Yes, we went to a show. It's been a good month at least.
And he hasn't shown up in CMLL since then.
Yes, he was very nice to us. He
was a really nice guy.
Really good guy.
I kind of, like I said, I understood why CMLL would take it easy on him, even though. But I think what happened is it happened in New Japan, because I noticed Diamante Azul doesn't get booked as often anymore, also by CMLL.
Really? Oh.
And he had a problem in New Japan also, but Mr. Niebla's was probably bad enough where it's like he hasn't been brought back at all. It's been a month.
Like I said,
he'll be brought back.
I'm going to be calling him Dr. Jerry Niebla from now on. Dr. Jerry Niebla.
But I'm pretty sure it was his trachea that was hurt, so I'll believe it. I believe him.
Yeah, we'll take his word for it.
So we should talk about AAA. Rey de Reyes is March 15th in Guadalajara. We have the Final Four for the Rey de Reyes final.
And that is?
Do you want to know?
Yes.
Aerostar.
Okay.
You like his odds so far? He's your number one guy right now?
I dig him.
Oh, you don't have him first winning this? No. Oh, you don't think he got a shot at winning Rey de Reyes?
No.
Because I haven't said Messias.
Yeah.
Tejano Jr.
Yeah.
Psycho Clown. So you don't see Aerostar winning this at all?
No.
Sadly.
Sadly.
I like him.
I'd like him to win it.
Yeah. He had that one that trios match on Lucha Underground. Did you watch that? The crew, or as
Is it from the very last one?
It was I think it was the show before that. I think it was the one you saw.
I must have seen it.
Yeah, it was with
memory's getting so horrible.
Here's how I know it. It was the crew, which is they're known in Lucha Underground as Bale, Mr. Cisco, and Cortez Castro. Yes. But you know him better as Ricky Reyes, B-Boy, and Lil Cholo. It was a really good match. But Aerostar was really good in that match. I think it was Aerostar, Superfly, and Argenis, I think.
I've always
Argenis.
Argenis.
Well, did you hear Matt Stryker said it like that? Argenis.
No, he did.
And then he said mystices. But he does the accent like mystices. And I was like,
He should then say, boy, I'm getting good at this Spanish language stuff.
Yeah. Mystices. Yeah, they had a really good match. So you don't like his odds. One
thing I wanted to bring up in Lucha Underground, what are your impressions of Cage?
Of who?
Cage.
Oh, I thought you said Paige. I was like, she's in WWE. Cage, you hate him?
He's supposed to...
He's pretty good.
No, he's good. He's good.
Yeah.
But when he came out, he looked like a monster that should just
beat people up.
And people kick his ass through most of the match. I mean, he sells like crazy for the...
He's good at that.
And no, he's good at what he does. It's not him. It's just...
Let me ask you, if you ranked the who you would be more scared of in Lucha Underground, of the heels. I'm going to name you 5 guys.
Okay.
Who would be the one you would be most scared of? Or that they're actually booking as the baddest motherfucker of them all. Big Rick... He's kind of turning face though.
Yeah.
Big Rick, Cage. Mm-hmm. Who's the other one? King Cuerno, because he's kind of being the hunter.
Yes.
Mil Muertes, or Pentagon Jr.
Honestly, Cage would want to be the one I'd be least afraid of.
It's really right.
Yeah, you know, these other guys come in and.
I don't really think I probably shouldn't have included King Cuerno because he also gets his ass. But he's got the hunter gimmick, the hunter gimmick. Yeah.
The other guys are putting the hurt on people.
Yeah.
Doing it violently.
Pentagon Jr. is the most. I'd be the most scared of him.
Yes. And here's this guy who looks like he should be the scariest individual, but he does these beautifully graceful moves.
Yeah, like the moonsault and stuff. It's awesome to watch. I dig him.
No, yeah, he's great. I mean, he's talented, but for what he's supposed to be doing. They should have had him just mow down a few people.
He hasn't done that yet.
Weeks.
Yeah.
They have him go right into programs where he's selling like crazy for somebody. He doesn't look like the monster he's supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, because Mil Muertes, because he doesn't do any of that stuff either, so that's why he looks like so much scarier.
Well, he attacks Prince Puma from behind.
And then he beats up Conan.
Yes. The thing is, everybody attacks somebody from behind. Make him do something.
Pentagon Jr. is the most awesome one on that show.
Yeah, I love Pentagon Jr.
His whole gimmick of breaking arms has been great. I've done that.
And that's the thing. There's this guy who breaks people's arms. And then this big giant guy comes in and does a plie. Yes. And he's scary.
Yeah. And it's so sad because the videos that they did for him were so awesome. Like he scared the shit out of guys. Like that one dude who hit him with a bottle, and they hit him with like a can, like a chair.
Yeah, that was some cool shit.
Like a box, a cart or whatever it was, a crate, and he no sold it, and he gets in the ring and he's getting hit by drop kicks and falling down.
Exactly. It would have made more sense maybe if Puma gave him almost all the match and got a few things in and make it look like this guy is going to be hard to take down. Yeah. Maybe next week.
I dug the Mundo match though. His match with Mundo.
Yes.
Did you see the chair shot that King Cuerno did on Mundo? You haven't seen the second show? They show a replay.
No.
Well, on that show they show a replay. Mm-hmm. Remember when he gets him in the corner and hits him with the chair on the leg? Mm-hmm. He misses his leg the entire way.
Wait, they show it like
They show it from that angle. Yes, they show the angle. I was like, that might have been the worst.
Maybe Vince Russo is booking after all.
That might have been the one mistake other than the announcers.
Usually they're so good at their editing.
Yeah, and they did such a bad job editing that. I mean, wrestling editing has been really bad lately, but that's been also...
shocker is Lucha Underground is one of the better shows when they...
Well, we should mention it. Did you notice when Pentagon Jr. started breaking arms, Rick Knox's arm healed? Referee Rick Knox's arm has healed.
Why did they want to be like
coincidence?
WWE?
Coincidence? You know the Rick Knox thing, right?
Yes.
He had his arm broken throughout because I always brought it up. I was like, Rick Knox, what's going on with him? Why is his arm broken? It's been 6 months. He should be recovered by now. It's like, what is going on with his arm? He's gonna die. He better stay.
He's a referee, not a wrestler.
I was hoping that Pentagon Jr. would re-break it. Right as he healed, he would break it again. Like break the other one. That would have been a great gimmick. Like he breaks the other arm, so he'd be like.
They should do like an Anderson Silva gimmick where somebody gets her arm broken, and they take massive amounts of steroids and say, "Oh, it's healing my arm," but you're 5 times as big as you were.
Did you watch Alberto? You only saw the Alberto thing with.
I saw the very end when he just peeks
shows
in there.
Up. Yeah. He did a promo the following show, the last show, where he put down WWE for being a racist, basically. for being. He didn't say WWE, but he implied it.
Right.
And then he kind of like did a bunch of. He talked. It was a really good promo, probably his best promo he's ever done. And then he got beat down by Tejano Jr., who's
who
now
is having
a feud in AAA. So now, because he brought the AAA title with him, so I guess they're trying to like combine the stories. I remember they were like trying to like separate it, but I'm guessing they're trying to combine it. Maybe something's going to go on where they do more stuff. Cage is going to be in Mexico, so...
Oh, very cool.
He's the main event guy now. He's going to feud with Alberto.
I hope he gets success. I hope he...
what else?
Well.
Kurt, so what else do you want to talk about? Big Rick's confessional skit. Did you see that?
About it. No, I didn't.
So remember he got his eye taken out by Lil Cholo, Mr. Cisco, or as we call him, Lil Cholo.
Little Cisco.
with a cigar.
Yes.
To the eye. Well, he's in a confessional, confessing what he's about to do. Mm-hmm. Really great skit. This is really good. You're gonna like it. So he's talking about forgive me, Father, for what I'm about to do and all this stuff. And the priest tells him, do what he tells him what you've been forgiven. Mm-hmm. And so he goes, and like as he's saying what he's gonna do, he turns to the camera and he's got an eye patch. He looks awesome. He's got the cigar and the eye patch. He looks awesome.
No way.
Yeah. I was watching them like. How the hell is this promotion doing more with Big Rick? A guy I never would even pay attention to if he was in WWE.
Yeah.
And I watched some WWE. I won't admit to being a big WWE viewer.
Right.
Because I don't watch a lot of it. I watched some of it. Apparently a lot of it is on the NXT show that I should watch that I haven't had time to watch. And it's like this guy, when I would watch him in WWE, he's like, oh, a jobber, change it.
Yeah.
And here it's like, fuck. I want to see what he's going to do to these three guys.
And that's
I don't want to see him wrestle, though.
Why there's a little Paul Heyman spirit floating throughout the writing room there because, I mean, well, as everybody knows, Paul Heyman was known for taking somebody who you don't know what to do with and make them interesting, and sounds like he's on the verge of being,
Oh, and you saw the Asian lady, right? They named her?
I didn't hear that.
The Black Lotus.
Okay.
She's looking for Matanza. Matanza.
Matanza? Is that like manzanilla?
That's death. Like killed or something.
I thought she was looking for Camille.
Like a lot. I'm guessing it's Mil Muertes or maybe. Okay. We kept thinking it was Hernandez, but Cubs fan kind of said it wasn't.
Okay.
I don't know if because he was at the tapings. I think he kind of implied it might not be him. Lucha Underground is also on Dish Network. For those of you guys who have Dish Network and were wondering, it's now on Dish Network. I should have mentioned this, but we didn't do a podcast for like 2 weeks.
That's right.
For like a month. So it's been 2 weeks. It's been on for 2 weeks.
We got to catch up. We got a lot of wrestling.
So you can watch it on Wednesdays now. You can watch it on that, or you can watch it on Unimass. Really good show.
Okay, very good.
And what else? Oh, Box y Lucha and SuperLuchas hasn't been around for the past couple of weeks.
Really?
SuperLuchas, I think, for the last 2 months, I think.
Box y Lucha?
Box y Lucha hasn't been around for a few weeks.
That would be like the
Their website is gone.
No way.
Yeah.
And you haven't heard any explanation?
I think they're having money issues.
Wow.
I know that the money issues thing, I was told the website was because of that. But then somebody else. But then they also mentioned it's a money issue with the magazine. I
mean, the last time I saw it wasn't the Box y Lucha that I knew from the 90s and the 80s and 70s.
I'm just kind of curious why they're losing money on the website.
That's interesting.
That shouldn't be losing money. All I know is
and it was a pretty.
If the domain is available, I'm buying it.
Yeah, I would. Hey, but when I went on there, it seemed like it was a pretty active website. It seemed like
it's weird. It was on and off because the main site, the main page. I don't know if you noticed. Like sometimes it wouldn't be updated, the main page, but their forum was really. It used to be updated often, and then like lately, it's been kind of just a bunch of like boring, wasted.
Wow.
Well, the thing is, like a lot of the lucha discussion is that interesting. You have some fans who are into like talking about lucha, but there's some fans who just they either hate AAA or they hate CMLL. Yeah. They hate the current generation of wrestlers. It's only old guys are only the only good ones.
And most of what I found on the website, and since I'm the history buff, is I would find a lot of people enthusiastically putting up stuff of guys from the 60s and 70s. Like
the posters and stuff like that too, like what we started doing afterwards.
Right.
I think we kind of just took over everything they did.
That's right.
Like between the Cubs fans, Steve Sims,
maybe
Chris,
we could become the
Rob,
Box
myself,
Lucha podcast.
It was like it just kind of became like this whole thing. Like, and then Super Lucha started doing a lot more of the old. Like, I think they're a lot of the stuff you used to see on their magazine is starting to show up on their website.
Oh, in all honesty, magazines in general are going the way of the dinosaur. Not as fast as I thought they would.
It's just sad that Box y Lucha, I mean...
It was like the granddaddy.
Box y Lucha and MMA. That's going to be the new name of the
oh, dear.
Box, Lucha y Artes Marciales.
No, okay, if we buy it, it's going to be Box, Lucha, Sin MMA.
No box.
No box.
Lucha.
Mucha Lucha.
Sin MMA.
Sin MMA. Yeah. We're on to something.
Yeah, I hope they work something out, because it's going to be a big loss.
Oh, totally. I mean, that was, I love the old Lucha Libre magazines because I love how kitschy the color covers were, and I love the photo essays they did. But Box y Lucha is where you could get some really good current and historical information. And the old ones, the really older ones, covered a lot of the spot shows, too, in the middle of nowhere. And I love that.
What I don't get is why they can't have, maybe a staff of 3 or 4 people handling the website. They should still be able to make some money doing that.
Yeah.
With advertising and stuff like that. There's ways of making money. I know the internet doesn't think people with wrestling websites make money. There's ways to make a little bit of money. You're not going to make a living off of it, but you're going to make some. You could probably make a living off of it if you do it. If you do it like Meltzer does it,
yes.
A paid ad. But these guys don't really want to do they don't want to do the work for that. They always want to find a way to it's always the little greed in everybody.
They want to get that quick buck.
Yeah, the quick buck, and not have to work as hard.
That's a shame.
So it's
That's a shame.
And like I said, Meltzer works really hard for that, what he does.
Well, we covered quite a bit.
Yeah, a lot.
We are going to be trying to keep the show to about an hour.
Yeah, because I don't want Kurt to go on rants, angry rants about
that's right,
about people online that we are.
And as you couldn't hear, this edition has been commercial free. Well, don't get used to it. We will return with many important announcements
Kurt has no commercials for this week.
So until then.
He's like the anti-Galavision.
That's right. Pro Gato ever ready.
More wrestling, less commercials.
So until then, may the right hemisphere of the brain short-circuit the left hemisphere. May the left hemisphere of the brain short-circuit the right hemisphere. And bing! You're there. Okay, make love not war, babies. See you next time.